next talk is from Cheng here at Caltech on studying cosmology and galaxy evolution with Roman and Spherex.
Right, thanks. So I'm Cheng. I'm a staff scientist here at Caltech, and I'm on behalf of the Spherex collaboration. And today I'll tell you a bit about some possible synergy you can do between Roman and Spherex. Okay, so first of all, why Spherex? So Spherex is a NASA mid-X mission and will be launching early 2025. So it's less than a year from now, and will be a 2-year nominal mission. And Spherex will do the first all-sky near-infrared spectral survey. So that means for any given point on the sky, we'll take a near-infrared spectra from 0.75 to 5 micron in about 100 spectral channels, and with a resolution about 6.2 arcsecond. Okay, so here's an overview of our Spherex instrument. So the whole observatory is about 2 meters high, and we have a 20 centimeter aperture, and we have a very wide field of view of about 40 square degree. And the way we take the spectra is using this technology called linear variable filter. So this linear variable filter, LVF, has a continuous gradient of the central wavelength. And then we have 6 of the detectors, each of them have a linear variable filter on it. And then when we're scanning through the sky, when you scan across object, we're taking the exposure at different wavelengths. So then we can build up this spectra when we're scanning through every single object on the sky. And in every 6 months, we'll take a full sky survey. So then you can get a full spectra for any point on the sky. Okay. And this is what Spherex actually looks like right now. So this is at the BAE system in Colorado Boulder. And we just finished up the TVAC testing. So on the right is the photo of Spherex instrument in the TVAC chamber. And you might recognize that place because that's also the same chamber that Roman was doing the TVAC testing. And Roman was just there right before Spherex. Okay, so with this all-sky near-infrared spectral imaging data, then what can we do with Spherex? So in Spherex, we have 3 main science targets. So the first one is to do cosmology. We want to probe the primordial non-Gaussianity coming from the inflation. And this primordial non-Gaussianity is usually parameterized by this parameter F and L. So this is a simulation of the very exaggerated case of this very, very strong non-Gaussianity. And you can clearly see this will leave a very different imprint on our larger structures traced by the dark matter density field and the galaxies. So Spherex will map hundreds of millions of galaxies on the sky, and we can use that to look at the distribution of their statistics to trace the primordial non-Gaussianity. So then we can constrain this F and L parameter. Okay. And the second goal for Spherex is to study galaxy formation and evolution. So specifically, we'll be looking at this called extragalactic background light. So instead of looking at just bright detected source on the sky, we'll look at the integrated emission coming from all the sources in the background. And this is very important for studying the galaxy evolution because now you can capture the information coming from a lot of phantom sources, especially many of them are coming from high redshift. So they can give us a better idea of the history of the galaxy formation and evolution. Okay. And the third target for Spherex is to map the interstellar ices inside our own Milky Way. So Spherex will look at a bunch of bright sources in the Milky Way as a background source. And then we'll take a spectra of that. And this starlight will going through some interstellar medium that has this ices molecule that will absorb some of the spectra. So then we can use this absorption spectra to map the distribution of water and some biogenic molecules within our own galaxy ISM. Okay, so these are the three main science goals for SphereX. But of course, it's an all-sky survey, so we'll take spectra for any given point on sky. So we'll create a very rich legacy data set to the whole community. So there are also a lot of different things you can do with SphereX, not just mapping a bunch of galaxies. You can look for the galaxy clusters. We'll map a bunch of different type of stars and high redshift quasars. So yeah, so you can think of any kind of science you may possibly do with SphereX data, and all of this will be public. Okay, and now I want to take a slightly deeper look on some opportunity in cosmology and the galaxy formation evolution, and specifically what SphereX and Roman data can possibly work together to get us a better understanding on these topics. Okay, so first of all, on the cosmology side, so SphereX is gonna use our large galaxy catalog to trace the larger structures. And so if you look at the galaxy catalog coming from SphereX, then we'll map the full sky, and then we will measure the ratio of the source from our own low resolution spectra. Okay, so in our redshift pipeline, we'll have the higher redshift accuracy, mostly coming from lower redshift, like below redshift about 0.5. And then for the higher redshift out to redshift 1 to 2, then we'll also measure redshift, but with the lower redshift accuracies. And on the other hand, for Roman, so Roman is looking at a much smaller field, but then it will be much deeper, so we can capture more sources at higher redshift. And Roman will also have the spectroscopy sample at about redshift 1 to 3. So this is highly complementary to SphereX, because at this higher redshift, SphereX don't have very good redshift accuracy, but Roman will have the spectroscopy sample. And on the other hand, on the low redshift side, SphereX can produce a very good redshift estimate. So we're highly complementary in terms of this redshift accuracy and also the field size. So there's a lot of things we can do with each other in terms of these all kinds of cosmology efforts. So just these a few examples. So for example, we can do the calibration of the photometric redshift with each others. And especially for SphereX, we'll have the measurement from 2 to 5 microns, which is not accessible from Roman. So they can also help you to break some degeneracies in these photo Z measurements. And then another thing also related to measuring the redshift is to do clustering redshift. So you can measure the redshift distribution by doing the cross correlations. Okay, and we can also do multi-tracer analysis by selecting different type of sources, and also, of course, because these are two independent surveys, so we can do a lot of cross check on the larger systematics in our data sets. Okay, and moving on to the other topics about the extragalactic background light, EBL. So the EBL is basically measuring the integrated light coming from all the sources along the line of sight. So in SphereX, we'll take these EBL images in about more than 100 special channels. So we'll have these kind of maps that contains the photons coming from everything in your field. Okay, and now if you break down this EBL signal in our images, so the thing we see in every single SphereX image is the integrated light coming from everything from different redshift. So then if you just simply look at the spectra, then you'll get this black light on the top, which is the total emission. But if you can break down the signal coming from different redshift, then you can see there are a lot of features, a lot of information there. So the continuum is very different, and we can also detect some line features in the spectrum. However, this is not possible to just look at the SphereX data to do this, to break these degeneracies. So one way we can do this is to use cross correlations. So for example, if I take some Roman galaxies at a certain redshift slices, and then you do cross correlation with SphereX images, then for each of these cross correlation, you can extract out just the signal coming from the ratio of your external source. So then if you do this cross correlation with all combination of the spheres frequency maps and the gases from different redshift, we can reconstruct all these different color lines on the left plot. And we did a forecast on this, how sensitive we can measure this cross correlation signal. And we found Raman gas is very, very good for these kind of applications. And we can do this cross correlation with different types of Raman sample, like the photometric sample, the spectroscopic sample, and also at a very high ratio, you can also do this with the light membrane gases. Okay, and another application, interesting thing we can do with the spherex and Raman is to do something called light intensity mapping. So again, in the spherex data, we look at the aggregate emission coming from all the sources. And now if you just take the spherex data, focus on one single frequency band, then that can capture the emission from a certain spectral lines. Okay, so in spherex, we'll get a view of the light emission coming from all kinds of sources with a low resolution version like this. And on the other hand, from Raman data, you can get the bright emission line gases like these red dots in the field. So this is also another kind of very complementary measurement that you can get the bright light emissions from Raman, and then you can measure the fainter populations from spherex. And we also have a very good overlap in terms of the observed frequencies and the line we can look at. So here are some measure lines we can map in spherex, like H alpha, H beta, some oxygen lines, and at the very high redshift, you got the Lyman alpha. And in Raman, so Raman will take the emission line gases spectra. So then they will have a bunch of measurements of the bright H alpha and O3 gases. So then the interesting question we can try to answer is how much of this emission line is coming from the fainter sources, and they can inform us some galaxy formation physics. And also on the very high redshift side, during the epoch organization, we can map the Lyman alpha line intensity from all the sources. So that is also complementary to the Lyman alpha emitter that will be measured at the at very high redshift. Okay, so just a brief summary. So, okay, so the important things to the takeaway from this talk is that spherex is going to launch very soon in early 2025, and we'll take the all-sky near-infrared spectral imaging survey, so you can get this all-sky near-infrared spectra for any single point on the sky, any object you want. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunity for synergy between Raman and spherex, not just in cosmology and galaxy formation, like the example I showed you. There's a lot more you can think of. And most importantly, within the spherex science team, we already have a lot of people that is highly involved in Raman. So there will be a lot of people that can really facilitate this kind of synergy between Raman and spherex. Okay, thanks.
We have time for a couple of questions. Yes.
Can you just remind us of the data release? Because I don't remember, like, was it, I mean, it must be staged, right?
Right. So
You remember when the first one is compared to when the Raman gets going?
so for the individual exposure will be released pretty soon. So the plan is to release the exposure like within 60 days of data taken. But the exposure is like the LVF data, so that also requires some effort to do analysis.
Yeah. Process.
Right, but we also release the all-sky source catalog I think in late 2026. Right.
We have, yes.
Thank you. Um, this this may be a very naive question, but I wondered, have we thought about cross correlations of sphere X with DESI? Because I suspect the DESI galaxy samples would be too low redshift, but maybe what could be done is cross correlate the sphere X samples with the DESI quasars, and maybe use the fact that the sphere X sample lets you know the density field, and maybe that could improve reconstruction of the quasars, because usually people like to try to do reconstruction, basically turn gravity on backwards and move things back to their linear theory positions, and this sharpens BAO measurements. But with quasars, the challenge has been that they're really low number density. But maybe if the sphere X galaxy kind of distribution overlaps, it could kind of give you more of the ability to do reconstruction with the DESI quasars. I don't know. Do you know, like, has there been any thought about crosswork with DESI at all?
Yeah, we definitely have thought about do cross correlation with DESI. So in the cross correlation paper, we also think about cross correlate with different kind of DESI sample, like LRG, LGs, and quasars. Yeah.
Is there overlap with the LRG?
Is
there overlap with the LRG? Sorry.
I mean, we are 4 guys, so we can overlap with everything. Yeah.
Okay, so let's think again.